So life is pretty awesome. I like living. What a good joke. I'm Jack Fitzpatrick and this is my review of Life. So I'm just going to be straight up and I'm going to tell you right now that the first thing that drew me to this movie was the fact that Jake Gyllenhaal was in this. Because he's basically the man, and pretty much every single thing that I see him in, he has me like entranced. And Life is no exception, because even though he had to share a bunch of screen time with a whole lot of other people, he still managed to impress the hell out of me. But you know what? So did everybody else. I really can't complain about anybody. You know, Ryan Reynolds was actually really good. His character was very interesting. He played the sort of jokester, sort of funny man sort of role, but it was mixed with a bit of a more serious performance that had a sense of urgency to it. And the actor Rebecca Ferguson was also really good. All the others were good. Everybody was good, alright? That's all I'm gonna say. Everyone was good. But that being said, I wouldn't exactly say that the characters' personalities were very captivating, but I actually mean that in like the best way possible, because in this way they came off as much more grounded. You know, these weren't just caricatures of what we think astronauts are. They were all real people who were legitimately good at their jobs, and they were professionals, and I really liked that aspect as well. And this sort of brings me to another point that I wanted to talk about. I love when movies show professionals being good at their jobs. You know, I feel like a lot of movies sort of avoid this because they think that the audience will find it boring, but I find it fascinating. It's kind of like a look into a life that I don't personally know. You know, I'm never going to be an astronaut, so it's interesting to see. And in that way, I'd say that Life really provides a lot of the technical sort of aspects to what being an astronaut might actually be like. Even though I'm sure there are like plenty of inaccuracies, I don't really know, it still very much felt like a more realistic version of space than we'd see from other movies. Another thing which I strongly appreciated was the seemingly realistic way that the alien species was introduced and the way that it kind of worked. I'm not going to get too into what makes the alien interesting, because I would say that pretty much any information on it would be kind of a spoiler, but what I will say is that it's very intimidating. And it's easily my second favorite portrayal of an alien species in recent memory, right behind those depicted in Arrival. But speaking of this alien though, it brought a whole lot of intensity to this movie. You know, oftentimes throughout the movie, I would find myself with this kind of worried feeling. You know, I'd kind of like bob up and down, like kind of encouraging them in my head, like, come on man, get out of there, do something. And that's because the alien feels like a constant danger. And this really results in a high level of suspense, and I feel like that's kind of a term that is used a little too liberally. Everyone says that about like everything. Like, you know, in the Avengers, the action scenes were suspenseful. Come on, bullshit. They're fun, they're really cool, they're shot great, but those sorts of things are not suspenseful. If you want to see an example of something that is truly suspenseful, go see Life. And to make the film that much more thrilling was the overall setting of the entire thing. Because, look, I'm just gonna say it right now, space is pretty much absolute perfection in regards to the horror genre. Because, you know, if you're in space, you're basically fucked. You know, there's nowhere to go, there's not much help. Help is like a planet away, and there are just so many things that could go wrong and so many things that you just might not be able to fix. This wasn't the kind of movie where you're just sitting back, like relaxed and everything, and you're like, yeah, the alien's near that guy, but he'll escape, he'll be fine. No, it really didn't feel like that. It felt like anybody could die at any moment. It really felt like the characters were in a hopeless situation. And honestly, the movie was like really scary because of this. But what I really loved about this sort of approach was that the film never felt like it had to supplement the horror into other aspects of the film. The premise alone was enough. And so when it came to the other aspects, like the score, it kept cinematic. When it kept to the visuals, it kept science fiction based. And regarding the characters, they were all really realistic. You know, rather than doing stupid things and, you know, following that noise or doing some other sort of horror movie cliche, they were all really intelligent people. So it didn't feel like the film had to write stupid ways in order to make things happen. It felt a lot more natural. Something else that I really loved about this film is how it looked, because the visuals were really impressive. And something that really made this movie look a lot more believable was the sort of camera work behind it all. There were a lot of sort of long takes where the camera would organically sort of float around. Visually, this movie felt much more free. Now, I only have like a couple of downsides for this movie. The first of which was that I would say that the movie pretty much goes exactly how you'd expect it to. But you know what? Maybe I'm just like super smart. Maybe I'm like a genius, so that's why I knew where it was going. Totally a reasonable possibility. And the second is that I feel like the pacing around the first act was just a little bit jumpy, at least to me. But you know what? Those sorts of problems are like super forgivable and really minor. In the end, Life was horrifying. It had a true sense of terror. It really utilized its visuals, themes, and setting effectively, and it successfully had me gripped throughout. And though clearly it had its inspirations like from the original Alien and everything, it was still nice to see that this was a movie that wasn't really based off of anything else and was just its own original thing. I would rate Life a 9 out of 10. So why am I liking everything so much lately? It feels like everything that's been coming out has been really good. I really love Beauty and the Beast and A Cure for Wellness and A Street Cat Named Bob. But you know what? I probably shouldn't question it because it's a good thing, right? Anyway, like, comment, share, subscribe, blah, 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 all that stuff. And look out for my next video.